Hello everyone, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Jacqueline Marici, and my husband and I have the great privilege of leading here in the coastal Los Angeles region in the Los Angeles Church of Christ. And we are shepherding 800 souls here. And I can tell you right now, without God, without this book, without the scriptures, there's no way that I could be doing this job. It just takes way too much mental health, mental and physical and emotional well-being in order to do that. But I just want to share with you, Steve had asked me to share my journey with you and my testimony about my own issues with social anxiety and panic attacks. So years ago, before I was a Christian, I noticed, even though I didn't know what they were, that basically kind of around puberty, I started having panic attacks. Again, they were very few and far between. But then in my early 20s, I started having them very severely. It was about a year after my dad died. Actually, it was on the anniversary of my dad's death where I started having panic attacks. And this went on for at least a good year. I went to a doctor. There really wasn't, really back then, it wasn't very helpful. Nothing really came out of it. And fast forward, but during that time, I can tell you, it was awful. It was horrible. I couldn't even drive on the freeways. I was working 30 miles away from where I lived, and I would take side streets. It was affecting my daily life. And then fast forward to 1990. By this point, I had pretty much gotten my panic attacks and anxiety attacks under control by basically avoiding or doing things that would cause me to feel that type of pressure or anxiety. And it did limit my life. But so 1990, we're baptized, we become disciples, and about 3/4 of a year in, I started having severe panic attacks again. And I was at a point where I'm like, are you kidding me, God? Like, seriously, I gave my life to you. I've become a disciple. Like, why are you allowing me to be afflicted with this again? Like, what's going on? And what had happened is I had been put in a situation that caused me a lot of anxiety. I was going to be speaking in front of a group, and I actually had a panic attack on stage. Nobody knew it, but I knew it. And I wanted to just flee, run, and I couldn't. But from that point on, it seemed like for probably from September through January, I had one long panic attack and anxiety attack all day, every day. It just depended to varying degrees. So I was being told at that point that I was in sin and that I wasn't trusting God and that I wasn't relying on God enough. And my response to that was, well, one, please show me that in the Bible. But two, and they showed me things about, not worry, don't have, cast all your anxieties. I'm like, well, I am casting my anxieties. I'm praying all the time. Yes, I'm working out. Yes, I'm not drinking caffeine. Yes, I'm not eating things with caffeine. Like all the things that people would say to not do or to do. And I said, help me understand how I can be in sin when I'm waking up out of a dead sleep at 2 a.m. and I'm having a panic attack. What sin am I in? Help me understand that. And I'm happy to say that our church has come a long way since 25 or 30 years ago. But back then, I really would have rather died. I remember thinking and feeling, and if you asked me today, I would tell you the same thing. Today, I would rather die than ever go through that again. And it wasn't like I wanted to kill myself, but I was definitely fearful of what I would do in a panic state. And I was also fearful of ever going through that again. I just didn't think I could survive it again. That's how severe it was. And at that point, way back then, I had been diagnosed with an overactive adrenal gland. And then many years later, diagnosed with a social anxiety disorder. But what happened is about 5 years, like around 1995 or 97, somewhere around that, I'm not really sure, I got a hold of this book somehow, Rejoice Always by Dr. Mike and Dr. Mary Shapiro. And they were disciples. That meant a lot to me that they were disciples. They were disciples at that point. I remember hearing that they were disciples in Atlanta at that point. And I didn't get this in our bookstores in LA. It was kind of like contraband back then, apparently. But I was able to get it somehow, maybe through DPI or one of the publishing church publishers that were used back then. And I started reading and putting into practice what this book said. And really studying out scriptures on anxiety and panic. And for many years I had prayed that it would go away, that God would take it away. But instead I started praying that God would use my anxiety, this thorn in my flesh, to bring him glory, right? I didn't ask him to take it away anymore. To deal with it in a godly way, and to not give in to my fear and my anxiety, and to also bring him glory through it. And I was been able, one, to help myself and to help many others because of this book. And I was also told that I wasn't in sin. It helped me understand it. And I was able to then really get a godly hold on it and face many, many fears and anxieties that I would never have done before. And I definitely wouldn't be in the ministry for sure, because you have to do a lot of things in the ministry that challenge or that could cause anxiety. One of them, I've heard that speaking in front of people, there are people, it's like on the most 10 most or top 5 most scariest things in the world is people would rather die than to speak in front of groups. I wouldn't be doing that. I wouldn't be serving in the capacity. It would have really limited me had I not read this book and not practiced what it said and really practiced what the scriptures say about how to deal with anxiety and panic attacks. And so I know that there's, a lot more to it. This is just a little snippet, but I did want to say that I'm very grateful for the church and for the way we have grown. I'm very grateful for people like Dr. Mike and Dr. Mary Shapiro, who I've never met in person. Actually, I think I've met Dr. Mary Shapiro at a seminar many years ago that the church did in one of our big workshops or something. And she was doing a class with Kathy Eastman at the time. And I went up and asked her, are you going to rewrite this book? Because I couldn't find any copies of it. And she said yes at the time. And then fast forward, Steve, just this last year, had inquired again if they were rewriting it. And we found out that it did get rewritten. And so we're very, very excited that it's available to us now. This is not a push to buy the book. You don't have to buy the book. I'm just telling you my story, my journey, and what this book triggered me on a path of incredible healing and dealing with my mental health issue in a godly way. And so I do want to say how grateful I am, again, that we have Dr. Mike and Dr. Mary Shapiro. We are very thankful to them for their work and the way they have educated and helped teach in the kingdom for many years now. And we're just excited to have them here. And I'm grateful again that you're here joining us and that you're going to get either the help you need personally or help you can give to other people along the way as we try to help all of us get to heaven together and bring as many as possible. Thank you guys. Have a great webinar.